I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Definitely not the starters. You're on the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
We are here in the First United Bank studio. Go check out TSportsNetwork.com for lots of information. We had the Texas Tech baseball schedule drop yesterday, and Jamie Lint gave you a couple sentences on each matchup, each road trip, each homestand. Good read there from Jamie. We also have Red Raider Recon. They're on the website and on the YouTube, youtube.com/TSportsNetwork, where we talk about Arizona State quite a bit. If it's going to be a backup versus a backup versus a starter versus a backup, or a starter versus a starter. There's 4 options.
Yeah,
I think the most likely right now is starter versus starter.
I agree.
Though
I'd be surprised if it weren't.
Though I would not be surprised at starter versus backup, where the starter's the home guy.
Yeah,
I think I'd be more surprised if it was Jeff Sims versus Baron Morton.
Yeah,
than I would be if it was
Levitt
versus Hammond.
Hammond.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked, but I would be, I think, a little bit surprised if Barron didn't play.
I think you really want Barron for, Kansas State, BYU, that kind of stretch. Even UCF, West Virginia, that home stretch down the end. Not home stretches, and both of those are home games, but home stretches in.
If Will Hammond had a bad game and started off slow and you still had a shot at winning the game, would you put in Barron?
It could be that Barron's available.
Yeah.
But not the starter.
Yeah.
I think that makes some sense.
Yeah. Oh, let me correct something.
Gus was saying that yesterday. Uh-huh.
You said Donnie Anderson was a Golden Palomino. That was definitely his nickname.
Yeah.
And he is from Stinnett, Texas. The Galloping Ghost, back in the way back days, was a guy by the name of Red Grange. And
I just thought that was another one I hadn't heard of.
No, and a lot of people called Donnie Anderson the next Red Grange. He never got the official nickname in the Galloping Ghost.
Hey, you're the one that was there. I wasn't correcting. I was just giving you the other one.
No, I'm just saying he was definitely the Golden Palomino, and I didn't want to confuse people. That was just something I called him. Was the Galloping Ghost.
I like the Galloping Ghost. I never heard that. That is a great nickname.
Yeah. But yeah.
All right.
And he was really good.
So yesterday we played the game. Everybody says a name, then we try to get to the same name. We'll have to work up a better name for this, but we're going to try again. And my goal is to do this until we get it. Not today, but we'll get 5 guesses here, including the first one. So the first one and then 4 more. And we will do this on the show at 10 o'clock until we get it. Could take years. 5 guesses, same name. Everybody's going to say a name on 3, and then we'll go from there. You ready, Craig? I've explained this to you in the break.
Okay.
First time, though, it could be – it's a little choppy your first time.
Okay.
So, all right, ready? 1, 2, 3, Aaron
Cooper
Judge.
Flag.
Okay. Aaron Judge, Cooper Flag, Rashee Rice. Okay, all right. Well, let's try to get all those in one. Rashee Rice, Cooper Flag, Aaron Judge. We got a name?
No.
Okay, well.
I'll pass. No.
Well, you got
okay.
All right, you got
one?
one?
I got one.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
1, 2, 3.
Tyler
Mike
Mahomes.
Krzyzewski.
Ooh, a coach. You said who?
Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett. Ooh. I said Patrick Mahomes. And you said Coach
Mike
K.
Krzyzewski.
Okay. Coach K. Patrick Mahomes. Tyler Lockett.
I'm going off.
Okay.
I'm
all
going
right.
off
All
of
right.
y'all's
All
too.
right. All right.
I'm
No
going
talking.
off of y'all's
All right.
too.
All right. All right. So this is guess 3. 1, 2, 3.
Andy
Reid.
Tyreek Hill.
Ooh. Oh, we're on here. Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill. Guess 4. 1, 2, 3.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah. There you
Yes! Didn't even need all 5. I just said it was going to take years.
go. Yep. It's strange how we got there.
We
too.
went from Cooper Flagg and Aaron Judge to Travis Kelce in 4 guesses.
Yep.
That was electric. What? 4 guesses?
Beat that, David Collier.
I don't know that we'll be chasing that for years.
It's a new record.
Yep.
4 guesses. Okay, so now the deal is we have to do it in better than 4.
It's just like Wordle.
Yeah. A verbal wordle. Say that 3 times.
Vertle. Wow. Okay. Well, there's that. Back to the chat line. I thought BUI. Yeah, BUI now.
Yeah.
BYU fans gave out ice cream. Yeah, apparently that and death threats.
Yep.
So, and I always picture them as a nice fan base.
Yep.
There's just one guy. Yeah, and Bibles.
Question.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned the probability, doubtful, probable out list. How much of that is smoke and mirrors?
Okay, I think these are the 2 programs where you can confidently say 0.
Okay. So you think none of the out guys on either team will play?
No.
That's a long list for Arizona State.
It is. Well, and
And I don't know how many of them are starters or players, but
yeah, there are a few starters in there.
yeah.
Is Arizona State starting running back out or the backup? That's an interesting question because the year's starting running back is out, Kyson Brown. But he has not been the guy in the last several weeks, certainly in Big 12 play. That's been Raleek Brown. He is in. And they also have the 1,000-yard transfer from Army, Kanye Udo, who is in. And Kyson Brown has really been relegated to the 3rd back in some games, the 2nd back in some games.
Think it's because of his injury, whatever it may be.
No, I think that was pre-injury.
Okay.
But he has played. He's been the 2nd guy generally. But it seems like game to game it's been different. But Raleek Brown has been the most dynamic of the 3 running backs that they've put out there, and he's their leading rusher.
And injury-wise, the difference between probable and doubtful?
Practice. I think it's if you're limited in practice or don't practice a day, you're doubtful. And if you practice but you're limited, you're probable.
Okay.
But I think that's up to the discretion of the whoever's putting the list
Each
together.
program may have their own definition.
But that when I hear those, that's what I think.
Yeah. Because when you say probable, in my mind, the first thing that comes is they're going to play.
Yeah. Or at least go through pregame warm-ups. And
maybe
be
a
suited
limited
up.
role, but they're going to play.
All right, highs and lows on the other side. 100.7 score at the end of the bench.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Might be the Friday night guy for now. And some other names they mentioned, Position Battles. It's a good episode. You can also listen to the latest Red Raider Recon where we recap last week and look forward to this weekend. Several good Big 12 games, 3 great Big 12 games that I think matter a lot to what's going on for the Big 12 title picture.
The intro's worth the effort to go watch it. Knife Gate.
It's over. It's Arizona State week. It's Thursday. We need to be talking about Arizona State. And then
The Big 12 does you a favor.
Yeah, then we get the Big 12 reckoning, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, we'll mention that, but we don't need to spend any time on it. And then Don Williams first, and then a lot of other people offer up the video. Okay, let's go step by step here. The Big 12 announces that both Texas Tech and Kansas are fined $25,000. Texas Tech for not doing everything they could to stop the throwing of objects onto the field. Even though the specifications in the rules that Kirby Hook had expressed in his press conference were an announcement over the PA, an announcement from a coach, and the warnings.
Right.
Those happened. I was at the stadium.
Okay.
There was a PA announcement.
Right.
And then who came up on the screen telling you not to throw tortillas?
Yep.
It was Joey McGuire.
Yeah, Joey McGuire. And they had another text saying, please don't throw anything.
Then there was another warning, an extra third warning.
Right. Yep.
I think Texas Tech in the game. Now, before the game, they even had a warning on Monday in the presser. Now, first 3 games, they probably didn't warn you all, but okay. Texas Tech fined $25,000. That's fine. Then Kansas was fined $25,000 for an inaccurate statement on a pocket knife and Lance Leipold's disparaging comments to the Big 12, which questioned the integrity, and to Texas Tech, which questioned their integrity. Brett Yormark says, if anything else, the Big 12 stands on integrity, and to question that is worth a fine.
Conspiracy theory?
Stops there. You have one?
I have a question about a conspiracy theory.
Okay, let's get to the video.
Okay.
Is that where it is?
Kind of.
Okay. So then we have a grainy Zapruder video.
From a mile away.
Now, we're not setting up these cameras to do what they've ended up doing. No. But there are...
They're crowd cameras.
There are crowd cameras on the sideline, and then some ground level cameras that they had found an angle on. And they find a guy, and I can't, maybe you can. It's also right after the smoke, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see anything drop from the guy's hand, but you obviously see him shadily looking left, and with his right hand opens by his hip.
Yeah.
So opens by his hip. Seconds later, you see a player walk by, pick up an object that was in the space where he opened his hand.
Right.
It turns out it's the pocket knife. He hands it to an assistant or staffer, who hands it to an assistant or staffer, who looks like he hands it to Lance Leipold, who hands it off to somebody else, and Lance Leipold takes off onto the field.
Yeah.
We don't see where he goes. I assume he goes to the officials, and I'm assuming that's the second penalty.
Right.
That's the facts, as far as we know them or can see them from this video.
Yeah.
What's your conspiracy theory?
My question is, the Big 12 release, when they find Kansas for inaccurate information, what inaccurate information?
The inaccurate information was Lance Leipold in the press conference saying they threw a knife at a staffer.
Okay.
Just straight up, he said they threw a knife at a staffer. Oh, and I'll tell you, I shouldn't say this, but I'll say it.
Does the fact that he called out the Big 12 office have any part of that inaccurate statement, saying at the Big 12 office, and he called out Scott Draper, I think's his name, or somebody, and said that they did nothing or they didn't have a reaction? That
was the disparaging part.
Right. So I hope you're right. I hope it is just the fact that, and I can't get there saying Lance Leipold lied. I think he was repeating what he was told.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think he was lying. I
think somebody lied.
Sake.
I think somebody lied to Lance Leipold.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
And in the immediate aftermath, because David and I talked about it Monday. David said, well, they're not lying about the knife because how many things do you have to think of before you think of a lie about a knife? I was like, no, I think they found a knife.
Yeah.
And I think the telephone game between a couple of assistants got to this was thrown.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was. I think they found a knife.
Yeah.
Turns out, it's exactly what happened.
Yep.
And allegedly, they found it because one of their own dropped it.
And you know what? We never know about this, and nothing happens probably if Lance Lipo goes home, waits till Monday, and calls Joey.
Yep.
We never know, and it goes by the wayside.
Yep.
Bad move on Lance Leipold's part.
And he had a statement that was to that effect.
Yep.
All right, we'll continue talking about this, and then after 9:30, move on. Headlines next. Tech and Kansas both fined $25,000 after their 42-17 game over the weekend. Texas Tech for throwing objects onto the field. Kansas for inaccurate statements and disparaging comments in the postgame presser by Coach Lance Leipold. We'll talk more about that and finish up that story at 9:30 just quickly. And I've finalized, I think, a tortilla plan for Oklahoma State.
Let me write it down and I'll send it to them because if it works, I'm all for you.
Okay. Other headlines last night in college football. A couple of games being played. Nothing too exciting, but UTEP did beat Sam Houston 35-17. Sam Houston 0-4.
Yep.
Whatever they've played.
And side note, you see the couple of players that got on Twitter and blasted the Sam Houston program.
So
current players, and they dismissed them from the squad immediately.
Yeah, so that was before the game, right?
Right.
I think it was early last week.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, one of them, I think even on Instagram, had a photo of him committing to Sam Houston.
Yeah.
And said something like worst decision ever. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
that doesn't work.
I wonder if he thought he might get kicked off for doing that.
I think he might have just been deciding to quit. I think that was his decision.
Yep.
And then Jacksonville State beat Delaware 38-25. Jacksonville State 4-3, but 3-0 in Conference USA.
So it was the players, not Rich Rod. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I think he took a lot of the players. But maybe the program, the program is built in a way that can sustain some coaching changes, which is good news for Jacksonville State because they're up in a new division for the first time without Rich Rod, and they're doing it still, at least at the Conference USA level.
Yeah.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back, 100.7 The Score. It is the end of the bench. It's time for point, counterpoint. Craig, take it away.
All right, NFL. Pittsburgh Steelers are getting a lot of complaints from their own players as well as others about the turf at their stadium. Injuries, slip downs, all kinds of problems with the turf. In my opinion, NFL needs to make a rule. If you don't have a covered stadium, regardless of whether it goes one way or the other, or it's always covered, doesn't make any difference, then you are required to have turf. You've got to have it.
Turf or grass?
Grass.
Yeah.
All right? No, you got to have turf if you don't have a covered stadium. Because I don't know that if you have an open-air stadium, you're more likely to lose your turf, and it's likely to come bad because you get a hard ground as you get into the November, December games. And if you have a stadium, then you can put grass in. If you have a covered stadium, you can put grass in. You can do like Arizona does, roll it in, for whatever.
Okay, my counterpoint,
Okay.
everyone should have grass in the NFL.
Okay.
I think the issue, I think you'd rather slip than get your foot caught in the turf and tear an ACL.
Okay.
Because I think that's a lot of what's happening right now. At least that's what people say. I've not read peer-reviewed articles or done my own research.
Medical research.
But it seems to me that the turf is what's causing a lot of these injuries, and the turf versus grass conundrum. Now, I would just as soon say everywhere you play football, go back to grass. But I do understand at the high school level, it's probably more economical to just put turf in once than to have to upkeep turf. But you're an NFL
Right. Yeah.
stadium.
That should not be a problem.
You should be able to pay and keep your grass and have the technology to not have it turn to rock. This isn't the 70s. We're not painting lines with diesel anymore. You can have a nice field grass turf year round. And there's probably some kind of heating blanket that you can put out there or whatever.
Yeah.
Or run – you can probably run electrical grids under the stadium and warm the field.
They do that now. They didn't.
So I would say, yeah, I would in the NFL, inside, outside, underground, overground, whatever it is, grass.
Okay.
I'm going 100% grass in the NFL.
Sutton? You're grass or turf?
I mean, if this was baseball, I'm grass all day.
I agree. Totally agree.
Football, I think it really matters depending on if you do have a covered stadium or not. But I like the all grass feel. I think it just feels natural, but also you don't run the risk of injury, of getting caught, and the New York Giants are usually the common suspects of ACL tears that they've had the last couple seasons. But yeah, to Rob's point, I would rather slip on grass than tear my ACL in turf.
Now, it would eliminate ACL tears on grass, but
it
does
takes
feel
away getting caught.
Yeah. And it does feel
the
like
non-contact
there's more.
stuff.
Yeah, it does feel like there's more on turf than there is grass, for sure. Point.
Okay.
James Franklin gets fired mid-year, $50 million buyout, and he's going to be paid over X amount of years. I would like to make the point that to keep capitalism and free markets available to coaches, and you can negotiate whatever you want as far as, or whatever you can as far as total salary, but a standardized buyout on every head coach. If you're fired mid-year, you get the remainder of that year plus one. If you're fired at the end of the year, you get plus one. And there's, regardless of whether you're coaching at Mississippi or UCLA, and when you take that head football job, your buyout is the rest of the year that you got fired in, regardless if it's beginning or end, and 1 year salary, and move on to the next one. Something's got to be done. Paying $50 and $70 million buyouts is not healthy for the game.
I really like that point. I'm unfamiliar with the specific terms of Franklin, but my counterpoint would be, if I was Penn State, I would be facilitating as best I could to get him another job, because that's when the buyout changes. Because then the buyout is based on the contract he gets. Like if he gets hired at Arkansas and you have $50 million on your buyout, that $50 million is just paid by Arkansas, right? And that's his new salary?
Right.
So that would be my counterpoint, that maybe you stay in media for a year, but any job you ever get in that window that they're still paying the buyout just becomes the new salary and the buyout's washed.
Yep.
But I don't have much of a counterpoint to your point there. I'd like a standardized. When you first said that, I was like, okay, so it's what, going to be $10 million a year or something?
Yep.
If it's $5 million a year and you're 6 years left on your contract,
yep.
And so that'd be a $30 million buyout or whatever. But the rest of that year plus one makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It does.
And if it were standardized, I mean,
right. Yeah, it's just that's the contract language.
Yeah,
that's your buyout.
If I had a buyout like that, and I was at Mississippi State, but the guy at Auburn was getting something completely different, I don't think it'll work.
Yeah, and if you in the Big Ten want to pay $12 million a year, fine, your buyout's bigger.
Right. Sutton?
I mean, yeah, I don't know the full extent of the contract, what all went into detail of it, but to Rob's point, I think it's probably smarter, to help him, kind of re-secure another job like the Arkansas job you said, just because that takes the relief off of Penn State having to pay the rest of that buyout when it can be not putting it on another school, but it's less worry that Penn State has to worry about. But I mean, granted, the firing, I don't really see a big problem with it. I think that if you're a team that made it to the semifinal in the playoffs, you have all of these new incoming recruits that are excited to play at Penn State, and then you kind of, dump the bed a little bit. Yeah. And granted, it's been a couple close games that he's had, but a lot of those games, like the UCLA game, I think was a true definition to, they have a lot of problems in a lot of the aspect. But yeah, to your point, I have no counterpoint really. But yeah, I think they probably should have helped him land somewhere else as well.
One real quick one.
One more?
Transfer rule is likely to come up on the table, and everybody thinks that it might be you get one transfer if you're a student athlete. If that's the case and you get a transfer kid but it doesn't work out and he wants to leave but he's used his one transfer, let's put a trade in. Let the coaches trade.
We'll answer this after the break.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Six games in. There's 12 games in a regular season. So we're going to look at some Texas Tech football stats and decide yes or no on if they'll double their first 6 games in the next 6 games, if they're on pace, or if they'll maybe trail off or blow up in the second half. So you got 3 options. You're going to stay on pace, blow up, or trail off. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Sutton, that makes sense to you? All right, we'll let everybody play this. All right, we're going to start with Baron Morton. He is on pace for 3,000 yards and 26 touchdowns. Does he exceed those numbers, hit those numbers, or fall off? Baron Morton.
How many yards he got right now?
1,501.
On pace.
So he's on pace for 3,000. Yeah,
Yep, I think he'll stay right there.
It's going to be interesting if he misses a game.
Yep.
But even if he does, I think that's probably about where he'll be.
Because I really honestly think that Cameron Dickey and Jacoby Williams have given us an opportunity to expand our passing game. And I think Baron Morton's going to be the recipient of a lot of that.
Yeah, I think he's going to stay consistent. Granted, because we don't know he is day-to-day with his leg injury from last week, even if he misses this game, I don't think it's really going to affect really if he does get 3,000 yards. I think he will if the consistency that he is on. And, like he said, Cameron Dickey really has opened up this offense to really allow us. But also with Will Hammond, using his legs as well. He's also a great quarterback to go to, but I still think that he's on pace to get the 3,000 mark.
And he's also really on he's only played, four-ish games total?
Like 3.5 maybe.
Yeah, because he goes out at halftime of both the first 2 games, just because you're up.
First 3, kind of.
And then I think he plays into the third against Oregon State, leaves the Utah game, leaves the Kansas game around halftime, probably in the second quarter, and then Houston, he plays the whole game, but maybe Hammond gets a drive maybe at the end.
I think he's at 4.5, roughly.
So if I gave you just the quarterbacks at 2,000 yards, would that change your answer? Because I think you probably just stay on pace either way.
Yeah, I think that'd be my answer.
All right, let's go to some rushing. Cameron Dickey at 591 yards and 8 touchdowns. So that's 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns. On pace, blow up, or trail off?
Trail off, simply because I think they're going to scheme against Cam Dickey. I mean, he's done enough now that that I think they're going to have defensive play calls just to try to stop Cam Dickey, I think.
I'm actually going to go blow up because to you, Craig,
Yep.
I mean, I would say because Tech's offense has so many options, from the receiving game, that they have more to cover just besides the running back position. I mean, you got Coy Aiken, you got Caleb Douglas, you have all of these, Reggie Virgil, you have all these guys that they have to set up a scheme just for them alone, that I think they're more worried about the air raid than they are the run game. Considering the run game is so consistent with our offense, that I think that if they start to focus on that, they're going to have to go to the air raid. And then once they start to go against air raid, they're going to have to go back to the run game because we're going to be battling back and forth between both.
Yep. And we've been about 50-50, hadn't we, run and pass every game?
Just about, yeah.
Yep.
Jacoby Williams, we're going to take his scrimmage yards.
Okay.
He's at 585, but we'll call it 1,100 scrimmage yards and 5 total touchdowns. Same question.
Blow up mean doing really much better.
Better,
than that.
yeah.
I'm going to say Jacoby's going to blow up.
Okay. So you think the action probably evens out a little bit between the two.
Right.
Just depending on game to game.
Because I think, to Sutton's point, I couldn't agree more. You got to pick your poison. And I think Cam Dickey is going to get a lot of the attention, especially in the next 3 weeks. And I think that's going to be an opportunity for Jacoby Williams. I really do. He's a different kind of runner, and I think they run different kinds of things for him, and I really see him blowing up.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Craig. I think blow up as well, only because I know Cam Dickey, he has a strong and a powerful running game, but I think that, like Craig said, I think Jacoby Williams is such a strong and different runner that they'll use Jacoby more in an open field instance where you use more of Cameron Dickey in the red zone just because he's got that powerful – I mean, he's almost like Taj. He's almost like a bowling ball. Like, he bounces off, his after-contact rushing yards is through the roof, and I think that, if they use both running backs well, I think both of them will blow up and stay consistent and keep going up.
All right, let's go to the receivers, the pass catchers, the tight ends as well. Caleb Douglas, 395 yards. We'll call that 800. And 1 touchdown. Blow up, pace, or trail off.
Going back to what I said, I think our passing game is going to blow up. So I think Caleb, Coy Aikens helped Caleb. I think our tight ends are really going to help Caleb, but because I think he's been a focal point first. If you look and you have last year's games on tape, or if you do this, you're going to try to stop Caleb Douglas. I think that's over with. I think we've got too many weapons, and I think Caleb is going to really blow up.
Yeah, to Caleb's point, absolutely blow up. Just because you do have that dominance of Coy Aiken, he is always a constant dominant threat, especially on the inside slot receiving game, but also on the outside. And then you have Reggie Virgil, he's somebody that's going to be so hard to stop that you have to specifically scheme for, that I think that gives Caleb Douglas just a wide open shot to kind of run with it and be the receiving leader and continue to be the receiving leader. But also, I think it opens up more opportunities for touchdowns for him as well.
I think Caleb Douglas could get to 1,000. So I'll say blow up there. I think he's the most likely.
Yep.
Coy Aiken on pace for 700. Terrence Carter on pace for 6. We'll say Reggie Virgil also on pace for 6. He's a little bit under, but not very much. So 700 receiving yards for Coy Aiken, 600 for Terrence Carter and Reggie Virgil.
I will say they all stay on pace except for one, and he may blow up. If Baron Morton is healthy and our run game and over the top to Douglas and Virgil is what it is, Coy Aiken's going to have a field day going across the middle, and that's the one I think could blow up if everything goes according to Hoyle.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. I think Reggie Virgil's going to stay consistent. Terrence Carter's definitely going to stay consistent. We use him quite a lot. When it comes to the running game, just because he is a really good blocker and run game. But yeah, I think if they're all staying consistent, and they do have to end up scheming for Caleb Douglas as we get later into the season, I think Coy Aiken does break off, especially on those little go routes along the sideline, up the seam, anything really across the middle.
All right, quickly, does David Bailey hit 17 sacks?
No.
That's an insane number.
Yeah. No, I think he gets 12 plus.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say 17. I'm gonna say 14 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
14 and a half.
Yeah.
David Bailey on pace for 17. Romello Height on pace for 9.
On pace.
Yeah.
David Bailey better get ready because he's going to see 2 opposing team jerseys in front of him all the time now, I think. And Romello Height's the one that's going to benefit from that.
One of them's going to blow up.
Yeah.
All right, how about this? Jacob Rodriguez, 100 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 4 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles.
Let's see.
More after this.
That's a good game.
We also have 2 playoff baseball games. And Red Raider football with Joey McGuire, all on our airwaves tonight. Red Raider football with Joey McGuire at 6 o'clock tonight at Rudy's on Double T 97.3, right after Tech Talk. On The Score at 4:30, Brewers-Dodgers Game 3. Following that, on The Score, Blue Jays-Mariners Game 4. And at 7 o'clock, Steelers-Bengals. Yes, Bengals. All right.
Burrowless Bengals.
The Burrowless Bengals. Jacob Rodriguez, let's just finish this real quick. Just insane pace that he's on. 100 tackles, multiple sacks, 8 forced turnovers, and more than 10 double-digit tackles for loss. That's what he's on pace for.
I don't think he can keep that pace, but not just because of Jacob Rodriguez not playing. That position, he's maxing out that position right now as far as numbers are concerned. 14 tackles in a game, in a Big 12 game, that's hard. That's hard to do. And I don't know. It would be hard for me to believe he's going to keep getting those kind of opportunities. But I do think he's going to be at the top of the list in his numbers categories, but I don't know that he can keep that pace going.
So I
hope he can.
He's actually trailing the pace for tackles this year as opposed to what he had last year at 127. I think the front 4 are getting more tackles. He's getting less opportunities, but I think he can hit the tackle number. I think he'll have 100 tackles plus. He is right on pace of last year's tackle for loss number. He was at 10.5 last year, 5.5 this year. And he had 5 sacks last year, but again, he doesn't have the opportunity or doesn't need to have the opportunity this year to get as many sacks. But he does have the same amount of turnovers forced this year as he did last year for the season. That's where I think that's 8 forced turnovers is
it's hard to do.
So what do you think, Sutton?
I think 100% he'll get the 100 tackles. I think he'll get that for sure. But I'm going to go on a limb and say he gets at least 5 interceptions this year.
Okay.
Just because of what the linebacker role requires now of you having to cover tight ends and, you're covering the flats, that I think that gives him more opportunity to go back in coverage.
And the pressure.
Absolutely.
And the quarterbacks aren't.
And especially screens and all that stuff. So I think he gets 5, and I think he does. I think he forces at least 5. At least 5.
That'd be awesome.
That's why he was
Sign me up.
preseason player of the year on the defensive side, because he's everywhere. He's so good.
Okay, so right now I think the leader in the clubhouse is David Bailey for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
But if Jacob Rodriguez has that many turnovers, if he forces 10 turnovers and also has 100 plus tackles and 10 tackles for loss, he'd be the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
David Bailey would be the newcomer of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, where do you think he lines up with Gil Howard being out this week? Where do you think he lines up with the tackles this week, but also having to step up and play a bigger role this week with him falling out?
I think they have so much invested in as far as A.J. Holmes and their attitude towards him.
I'm not sure there's much of a drop-off.
Yeah, I started to say, I don't think they
Skylar
anticipate
Gil Howard is
much.
really good.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Holmes is right there with him.
Yeah. I think where you get to Sutton's point, where you start asking that question is after A.J. Holmes.
Yeah.
But I think they have a lot
that's due to Banks.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty good too.
And they have a lot of confidence in him. And I think that's one of the check marks on a box on pluses on the plus side is our depth on that defensive side.
All right, Urban Meyer has given his top 3 running backs in college football. Would you care to guess the top 3 running backs? Would you care to go deep into Urban Meyer's mind and guess what his top 3 running backs are?
Who's the number 1 and 2 guy for Ohio State? No, I'm just kidding.
No Ohio Staters.
Yeah.
No Big Teners. Well, kind of one Big Ten adjacent. But.
Yeah. Urban Meyer. Running backs?
I think there's probably a consensus nationally on the first 2.
Okay, go ahead and give us
Notre Dame's Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
And Missouri's Ahmad Hardy.
Yeah.
Ahmad Hardy and Jeremiah Love, that's 1-2. Jeremiah Love 1, Hardy 2.
Did he put Cameron Dickey in there?
He's got Cam Dickey
Is he?
as the number 3 running back in the country right now on their Triple Option podcast with Mark Ingram and Rob. What's his name? Rob Peters? Rob Ford? What is his name?
Yeah. Rob Stone.
Ford.
Rob Stone.
There
yeah,
I think Rob Ford was the Toronto mayor that was doing crack. Different Rob.
Yeah, different Rob.
What a throwback that is. What was that, like 2012-ish?
Yeah.
I might have had a Halloween Rob Ford costume.
Along those lines of Cam Dickey being put on a list by Urban Meyer, I feel like we're one more game away from the national media accepting what Tech is. I think when I say one more win, I think if we beat Arizona State, we're there. I think they're all going to accept us. I still think there's some national hesitation about Tech, but it's gone and decreased as we've gone along. But I still think there's some national hesitation. And I think if we beat Arizona State, I think it disappears. I think we're going to be legit in most national minds, if not all.
I think any win certainly puts you toward that. If you win by 20 again
and hold them to a low number,
and you've won Big 12 games by 24, 24, 25, and 20 plus, yeah, I think at some point it's not who you're playing, you're just that good.
Yep. And I think something's got to be said about what Coach Saban has been saying for the last 2 weeks. The most complete team, not only in the Big 12, but maybe in the country, other than Ohio State, may be Texas Tech. Because they've got both sides of the ball working. They have no kicker problems, and their depth it is something to put up there as a plus. So I really think if we can, or I should say win, because I definitely think we are. When we get through with the Arizona State game, I think our national acceptance rate goes up the ladder. We'll see.
Playing time is not required. This is the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Let the coaches trade.
We'll answer this after the break. Welcome back. 100.7 The Score. It is the End of the Bench. This morning on whatever that ESPN show is with Greeny. First Up, Big Morning.
Get Up.
Sure. They had the most ranked matchup in SEC history. Do you have a guess?
The most?
So the game that has been played the most that has been ranked on ranked.
Ohio State, Michigan.
In the SEC.
Oh, in the SEC. LSU, Alabama.
LSU, Alabama. That's what I would have guessed.
Yeah.
Some guy guessed Tennessee, Georgia.
Before Kirby Smart got there, and at the end of Vince Dooley, there was a few years there that they didn't make any rankings. And
the guy in between them, Mark Richt, seemingly was ranked a lot, but that was like, I mean, they weren't ranked number 5 every year.
Yeah, Tennessee's coming off
Tennessee
some
is not,
down years.
Yeah. I don't know. Tennessee was the one that was like, I don't.
Yeah.
People always think Tennessee is just a blue blood, and I don't know. I don't get it. A trade. So say your point one more time.
Okay. It has been talked about that when the new rules are finally decided upon, that there's a possibility, not a probability, but a possibility that student athletes will be limited to one transfer. You have 5 years to play 5, and you can have one transfer. What if you, have a transfer come to your school, but then he's not disgruntled or anything, he just doesn't like it and wants to move on? First of all, as a coach, I don't think you want him there, and you're limited in what you can do with him. Would coaches making trades, if he knows what school he wants to go to, and could one coach reach out to another one and say, hey, look, I'll trade you this player for that player? Kind of far-fetched for college football, but
certainly far-fetched.
So was paying them as out front.
My solution right now would be, so here's my counterpoint. I love the 5 for 5. Everybody gets 5 years to play 5 years. Eliminate the red shirt. Eliminate all these extra injury years. If you go play college football and you get hurt 3 years in a row, I'm sorry, that's your draw.
Yep.
You should not be able to get a bunch of extra medical red shirts or whatever else. And we can't even start saying, well, okay, but if you get hurt 3 years, you should be able. No. Yeah. You get 5 years to play 5 years. That's the deal. That's the scholarship limit. If you played, and it's not a hey, but if he wants to walk on for a fine, no.
If he played 2 years at a junior college, he's got 3 years left.
Yeah, 5 years to play.
Clock
5 years
starts
in college football.
Yeah.
If you're getting a scholarship, and everyone does now, it's not one of those. Well, you get a walk on year in 5 real years. No, 5 to play 5. I would go 2 transfers, 1 undergraduate, 1 graduate transfer. If you don't use your undergraduate transfer, you don't get 2 at the end.
Okay.
You can transfer once, and then if you've graduated from that school, you can transfer again. So that's
theoretically,
that's
if you wanted to speed the process up, you speed up your graduation process.
Yeah. If you transfer after your freshman year, and you're like, that was a terrible mistake.
Yeah.
Graduate.
Yeah.
Do your schoolwork.
Yep.
And
good idea.
Graduate, and you can transfer again.
Yep.
And then my final thing, because I do think the windows are messed up, I would have one. I like the January window. Do your high school recruiting in December. Get those kids signed. Do your spring recruiting in the transfer portal. But once you start spring football, that's your roster. That's your roster. Now, you could add of guys that entered the portal but didn't land anywhere before spring. You can still add a guy or two. And the coaching thing, if you want to wait and fire a guy after the window because you're trying to game the system, there probably is some sort of window there that those guys can enter the portal, like David Bailey and some of those Stanford kids this offseason. Bear Bachmeier's another one. But just as a universal window, that would be the only kind of, well, maybe you have some grace there. But there's zero grace on the transfers. You get two. One is an undergraduate, one is a graduate. You get 5 years to play 5 years. And there's one transfer portal window besides the grace. And there's no extra waivers. There's no room at the NCAA offices taking 16 weeks to make one decision. The NIL stuff probably needs to be ironed out too, but I'm not as worried about that currently. Just fix everything else, and then we'll get to the next thing. But the thing that bothers me most with the transfers and the eligibility is all these lawsuits that are opened up because of all the regulations. Erase all the regulations and tell the judges, right, at the federal level, this is the rule.
Yeah.
There's no interpretation. I think so often in college sports, interpretation is left too open in officiating, in rulings, in tortilla throwing. Erase the interpretation. These are the rules. Now, officiating is harder to do. Understand that. But outside of the game, there should be hard and fast rules. And then we get rid of all these stupid lawsuits. We get rid of all these stupid waivers. It's just what it is. This is college athletics.
If you want to
hard
participate,
and fast rules.
Yeah, if you want to participate, this is a rule.
Yes.
Yep.
Here are all these dumb waivers. So that's my counterpoint.
Okay.
And I would say no to the trades.
I think it's too far-fetched, but I just, you never know. You're getting general managers that do evaluations, and, it would be nothing for the coach to say, okay, let's let him go to so-and-so. Who do we want off of that current roster? Who would we take? Then we offer the trade, and you tell the kid, if they'll take the trade, we'll trade you. Otherwise, we're not going to do it.
It's an interesting concept, but
it's kind of scary to me.
I wouldn't want to open that door.
It's kind of scary for me.
Unless now, here's where I could see it working. If you have two kids in the transfer portal already, you could call and facilitate a trade. But at that point, it's just, hey, I'll tell my kid if you tell your kid.
Yeah.
And not so much a straight-up trade.
Yeah.
You're not cutting a kid just to send him to another school. That's where it would get weird to me.
Yeah. I have another question for you, not a point, but a question.
Is it about this?
Yes, kind of.
Okay, all right.
The transfer portal, 5 to play 5, everything that you talked about, okay? Should a student athlete be limited on how much time he has to sign once he enters his name in the transfer portal?
So you're saying a drop dead date?
Yeah, like if you're going to go in the transfer portal and get kids, you've got to do it by this date. If you put your name in the transfer portal, you're going to be signed or not signed by this date.
No, obviously, like fall camp should be some kind of window.
Yeah.
Where you should be able to be signed, but That's interesting. If let's say you're a grad transfer and you get in the portal, but you're down between two schools and you're going from a lower level to a higher level, you don't know exactly where you're going to play. Could you wait until week 3?
Mm-hmm.
Unless things play out, and then, hey, I'm showing up for the final 6 games? I don't know. I don't think that kind of stuff happens right now, but that would be the kind of thing that's like, oh, well, let's see what happens.
My question is, you've got a kid that's waiting and waiting and waiting, and some coach goes up to his donor and says, look, we're going to go after this kid. Give me $1 million. Let's go get him. And the kid waited to get the more money or something.
Seems smart to me. All right, we got some breaking basketball news from the Big 12 we'll get to after this. We've got some preseason teams and rankings. You know what's going to be really fun is BYU's dunk highlight packages. Because he is going to yam on a bunch of unsuspecting, unassuming, I guess probably expecting, but
he's a great player. Great player.
Okay. Bench warmers. What are your go-to toppings on pancakes? This is from Bullfighter. He says regular syrup, melted butter to make it a little soggy. Occasionally adding blueberries. And then he has a second question, a follow-up. What's better, pancakes, waffles, or French toast? So let's start with your go-to pancake toppings.
I'm right there with the texture. A little butter, a little maple syrup, and either strawberries or blueberries on the side, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just going butter and syrup. I'm not a fancy pancake guy.
No whipped cream for me either. No. I'm not. I'm out of that.
You're not on the fresh and fruity Rudy Tooty?
No, I'm not there yet.
If you served me a chocolate chip pancake or a banana pancake, I wouldn't send it back.
Yeah.
But I'm just a regular pancake guy. Sutton, you a topping guy?
Not really. I'm usually just plain syrup, but you got to make sure to butter. If I'm getting 3 pancakes, butter each one, let it sit,
flipping them around.
I'm picking one up, putting the butter underneath it, let it melt all the way, put it on the bottom, let it melt, just let it melt all the way, and syrup all over the top.
And there's no such thing as too much syrup.
No. No. And if it sucks up all the syrup on the first go round, halfway through,
pass the syrup, please.
Yeah, a little more syrup. Okay, so are you familiar with start, bench, cut?
No.
Start one is your favorite option, then you'd bench an option, and then you'd cut an option. I would do it in this order. I would start the hotel complimentary breakfast waffle in the shape of Texas. If it's not that waffle, I'm starting pancakes, benching waffles, and cutting French toast.
Golly. I'm starting pancakes. I'm hanging in there with French toast. Waffles. Any kind of waffle.
Yeah. If the waffle's not a little crunchy.
Yeah, I just started to say, well done. Well done.
It's hard to mess up a pancake.
Yeah.
It's fairly easy to get a bad waffle.
Yeah. I've been known to put them in the toaster 3 times instead of just once.
Yeah.
But
I want those Eggos crunchy.
Yeah. And then French toast is way down the list for me. I like it, and it's okay, but it's not.
I don't know that I've ever had the option of anything else and taken French toast. That's just not been my go-to.
Yeah.
For me, start all the way pancakes.
Yeah.
All the way pancakes. See, now because I love French toast, but if it's made right, absolutely, I'm keeping it on the bench. But if it's too much, too soggy, it ain't right.
There's such a thing as a bad French toast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're getting the white bread out, just the Wonder Bread, and it's mostly egg.
Yeah.
It's like an eggy white bread French toast. It's okay.
You got to get sourdough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice sourdough bread. Yeah. See, that if you do it with sourdough bread, you got the nice syrup, some nice, powdered sugar. Powdered sugar on top. Call me with that. So I'm going to go pancakes, French toast, waffles.
Might have to go to, no free ads, but some local diner and get some breakfast after this.
Yep.
Let's see. Bench warmers. Did Kansas get off easy? Should the staffer that intentionally dropped the knife get suspended? Do you think this was a ploy by Leipold? Let's take this step by step. I don't ever think a $25,000 fine, regardless of to the institution, at least in sports, is getting off easy. I think that's and with the you lied caveat, the hey, you stood there and gave an inaccurate statement, which is not necessarily lying. You just were inaccurate. Maybe you didn't know you were lying. I think that is a pretty hefty penalty. Now, I wish it was as widely reported or believed as the initial report. Because I think most of the Big 12 is now siding with Texas Tech post-video. But in 5 years, it's going to be
Tech through.
Yeah, Tech through the pocket knife. It's going to be right there with all the manure in the Aggie bus.
Yeah.
And as Snead said in the break, the red Kool-Aid and RC Slocum, it's going to be right. Yeah. It's going to be there with the turkey leg. It's going to be there with the batteries. It's going to be there with the quarters and the helmets in Oklahoma. So that is frustrating.
Right.
That is part of public record with guys that didn't keep up. There were Kansas fans tweeting at us at midnight last night that hadn't seen the news yet.
Yeah. And the reference you gave to the old past ones, everyone were proven false.
Yes. So I don't know that I would necessarily say Kansas got off easy, but the staffer, if it's right now, I don't know that you can prove anything definitively, but that knife did not get thrown by the students. I think that much is known. If you can prove or find out or investigate, and maybe this goes to the police now, and not just the Big 12, that was a plan by that staffer to drop the knife and have it found, that guy should be fired. Not suspended, fired. And he probably shouldn't get another coaching job. This is worse than Connor Stallions.
Yeah.
Connor Stallions was advanced scouting. And call it cheating, call it whatever you want, but advanced scouting. That is at least in the realm of what football coaches do. This guy dropped a knife.
Yeah.
And knew, allegedly, that it was going to be taken and in that atmosphere blown up. That had to have gone through his head, right?
Of wanting to do that.
Right. And then, do I think it was a ploy by Leipold? I honestly do not know. I don't think it was. I think Leipold also got fooled.
I think he took advantage of a situation that was in front of him. I think
right, but I don't think he created the situation.
No, he did. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't think he said, "Hey, if we're getting beat, let's do this." No, I think it was just in the heat of the moment. Somebody ran up to him and said, "Coach, you're throwing back pocket knives at us," and he said, "Okay, I'm going to run down here and tell the official, and then I'll get with Joey afterwards and let him know I'm not pleased." But one thing, Rob, I don't know that we know yet, and I don't think we'll ever know unless there's an insider that could tell us or something, but I think there's some internal punishments going to be handed down. The
investigation shouldn't stop.
Yeah, I think it may be as simple as a letter of admonishment or something, but I think there's some. You get that staffer in there one-on-one with the AD and say, "Look, did you do it, and what happened?" And he may come clean.
Should not be allowed on the sidelines anymore.
Yep.
At the very least.
Yep.
Eric on Wheels says, we found the knife. We never found Teo's girlfriend. Well, technically they did find it. All right, that's it for us. Thanks to Sutton. Thanks to Craig. We'll be back tomorrow with David Collier. Up next, The Bottom Line with the impervious Chris Snead.
This has been the End of the Bench podcast from 100.7 The Score. Go to 107thescore.com for more from the Double T Sports Network.